welcome to the JT Podcast, episode number 1. With me, your host, Jaime Guillermo Tadlock Escobar. Hey man, I know that's a pretty long name, but that's what my mom wanted. There's nothing I can do about it. But oh well, what we got here, we're going to talk about stand-up comedy. By far my shit. Not my shit, but I really like it. It's one of the things that I enjoy in life, you know. Every time I have a chance to listen to it, if I'm in lunch at work, I will pop a comedy special. So the main focus of this podcast is going to be that stand-up comedy, and not only that, but also talk about trendy shit that's going on. Just trying to make fun out of it. Not making fun of it, but have fun with it, you know, crack a couple of jokes. Just try to make it light and funny, and that's it, I guess, babies. Stand-up comedy. My favorite shit ever. Plans for this podcast is going to be eventually, not right now, because I just got everything. Like, I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have all this that you see, the camera. I had nothing. But eventually I want to upgrade the sound quality, the video, lights, everything. But we're gonna start slow, okay? In my first episode, so I'm just working with what I have. So I came from a third world country. I'm currently living in the US. I came about 8 years ago. Yeah, 8 years ago. And it was epic, but also it was kind of hard. You know, everything is different, obviously. Language, the culture, the people. You don't have any friends, so it was kind of a hard transition. You know, from a third world country to a completely different thing. And the first time I came in contact actually with comedy, I was just searching through Netflix, trying to find something to watch, and I saw Kevin Hart, and I saw stand-up comedy, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And that was actually the first comedian I ever saw when I actually discovered it, because when I'm from, stand-up comedy is not a thing. It's, you know, obviously the culture is very different, so that's not really a thing. When I came here, I saw it, I watched it. It was called I'm a Grown Little Man, and it was so damn funny. I couldn't believe it. Like, oh my god, this guy's so funny. He's short, black, funny, and I just had a great time watching his shit. And he also had another one that I forgot the name of, but the point is, when I knew what stand-up was and I watched it for the first time, I was loving it. It was great. And actually after that, for many years, I kind of had to stop because I'm married now, but for many years I will go to bed and I will hit Pandora and go stand-up comedy, and I will go to sleep listening to jokes, and that's how I went to sleep every night for many years, and it was fun. I loved it. So that's gonna be the main focus of this podcast, the JT Podcast. So I'm 26 years old. I'm a automotive technician, mechanic. So yeah, as you might know, comes in handy when my car breaks down. I don't have to pay nobody to fix it, which is kind of cool, you know. So when I saw this Kevin Hart comedy special, obviously I did some research and I found all these great comedians. You know, the classic, the big ones like Louis C.K., Bill Burr, who I think he might be my favorite comedian of all time. You know, Bill Burr is so fucking funny. Obviously, I don't have to say it. You guys know. With saying all that, with saying how much I love it, I wanted to try it out. And it was only this year, 2019, that I was starting to think that maybe it could be a thing that I could try it. Because, you know, I love it so much. and I saw Billboard talking about how being a comic, it doesn't really require a specific talent. And the only thing that it requires is have the courage to actually go on stage and try to make fun, try to make people laugh. If you make your friends laugh, that's one thing. I think that's pretty easy. If you have a little circle of friends, you can crack a joke and make them laugh, and that's one thing. Another thing is, if you go to Walmart, or if you're white, you go to Target. But if you go to Walmart and you start talking to the cashier and you make them laugh, that's another thing. But when you have an audience, when you go on stage and you have the light shining on your face, and people are watching you and they're expecting you to be funny, now that's a whole different ballgame. That's fucking scary. But I think it's time. Honestly. I need to stop being such a fucking pussy and just try it out. So I think tonight, sure. Tonight I have plans to go to an open mic, and I have material prepared. I have 5 minutes. I've been actually writing jokes for a few months now. I think like about 3 months, and I put together 5 minutes, and I'm gonna try them out and do open mic for the first time. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously I'm gonna bomb, and I'm okay with that. So the things I want to know is, if I'm doing it, I want to know how I feel with it, because obviously I already know that I love it. I already enjoy it. But if I do it right and I love it and I feel like I want to go back on the stage again the next week and just keep doing it, if I feel it, that might be it. I'm gonna start doing it. I'm gonna go balls deep and fucking do it. I'm gonna try to be a comic if I feel like it's in my heart to be a comic. But I need to go open mic and find out. And I'm not gonna lie, man, it's scary. I'm nervous, but at the same time I'm excited. I work hard putting that shit together, trying to make it funny. So we'll see how that goes, and hopefully on the next week episode I'm gonna give you guys an update on how that shit went and how do I feel about it, and among other things. And also I came in contact with podcasting, which is the reason why I'm doing this right now. And the first time I came in contact with podcasting was with Joe Rogan, obviously one of the biggest podcasters of all time. Yeah, like this, he's been around forever, right? Yes, I mean, we know. This guy's super famous. You nobody. Oh, sorry. So this was the clip that I saw. I didn't saw the whole deal. I just saw a small clip. It was with Neil deGrasse Tyson, who, by the way, I didn't know who he was either. I didn't know who Joe Rogan was. I didn't know who Neil deGrasse Tyson was. So when I saw this clip I think I want to say maybe about a year and a half ago, I saw it, and my mind just went like, whoa, that's a crazy fact. Because you know how Neil likes to drop facts on your face, and they're pretty cool to know and to learn with him. So when I saw this clip that I'm about to show you, it just blew my mind a little bit, and I got really curious about who these two guys were and what is that they do. So let me show you guys the clip real quick.
Are you one of those dangerous guys that doesn't put a case in your phone? You have the fucking
I don't put a case on
escape in your on your phone. Your lock screen is the Stonehenge of Manhattan.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, Manhattan Henge. That's sorry.
And you have no case on your phone,
No.
so you're a risk taker.
Right. No.
By the way, every time I see someone without a phone case, I want to point it out, because I don't have the confidence on myself that I'm not gonna drop my fucking phone, because I've done it. I have slippery hands. So the fact that when I see someone without a case, I don't want to sound too dramatic, but I kind of freaked out a little bit. I was like, ugh, dude, aren't you afraid, man? Man, you trust yourself, don't you? But I don't, so.
No. So you can think of it as risk taking, or when I got the phone, because I admire how thin this is.
Right.
I like technology
Yeah.
serving me.
Sleek.
Okay, so what I did when I got the phone, I said, let me do this with it.
Flip it around.
Yes. And I
Flip it,
reminded
Neil.
myself, why do
Flip it.
in the military cadets, why do they twirl their gun? Of what possible value is this in combat? Why do they do these things with their gun? And then I realized you're not supposed to drop your gun ever. Ever. So if you twirl the gun and you don't drop it, it means stuff can happen to you in combat, and it is always attached to your body.
And then I was like, what? That's why they do it, man. That's why they do it. It was pretty cool to know.
So I said when I got my phone, I said, let me just do this. Okay?
God.
Let me just do this.
By the way, if you can tell by now, you know how Joe, not every time, but most times, he will do the podcast while being high. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. I just think makes it even funnier. But you can tell he was high on that podcast.
This, if I pick up the phone and...
Dropped it.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
So when you do that, then you never drop your phone. So it's not that I'm a risk taker, it's that I've changed my risk to make it so low that it essentially won't happen.
And you got Apple Care. Did you get Apple Care?
No.
You didn't?
No, of course
You don't
not.
get Apple Care?
No.
You're a risk taker.
First, I fix my own damn computer. Second,
How are you going to fix your own damn phone? If the screen breaks, you going to get in there with a screwdriver and pop that bitch out, put a new one in?
the key word, the key phrase is there, if the screen breaks.
But you're not going to drop it, so you
That's
don't have to worry
correct.
about
I also carry relatively expensive fountain pens.
that. What happens with that?
I never lose them.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
If
So-
you always lose your pens, it means you're not spending enough money on them.
Right, like sunglasses.
Exactly.
I've had the same pair of sunglasses now for a record number of time.
That,
Right,
that
when I
meant
say
it cost
that,
you $200 to
I'll
get them.
fucking lose them. They're just my favorite ones.
Yeah,
Actually, I
okay.
got them for free. Shout out to Skeleton Sunglasses.
Oh.
Skeleton Optics. Zeiss lenses.
Zeiss. Oh,
Zeiss.
Zeiss.
Powerful fucking
They
sunglasses.
invented the planetarium projector.
Did they really?
Yes, they did.
They make some badass
1923.
So yeah, my dudes, that's when I first saw the podcasting world. And obviously I went into that podcast and I watched the whole thing. I think it's like about almost 3 hours, I think. So I saw that, I did some research on who Joe Rogan is, and that's what I encounter the podcasting world, which is fucking amazing, really. I mean, come on. You can find almost every genre of podcasting that you want to listen to. And, you know, also Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's one of those guys that makes learning fun. I actually bought a couple of his books, and I bought another book about astrophysics, and I read the whole thing. It was, excuse me. So I saw all these, all his knowledge, and he's just such a smart guy. He makes learning fun, like I said. Dude, I was like really balls deep into astrophysics for a while. I was like just reading about this shit all the time, and NASA and everything. I mean, I'll still read it from time to time, but I went to a rabbit hole for like 2 months, I think, reading about that shit. It was so much fun to learn about all these planets and everything that's beyond, and all the multi-universe theory, which is fucking insane, but fucking amazing. So when I saw his podcast, obviously I fell in love with the way the podcasting works, because if you watch any kind of interviews or anything, you get like 5 minutes, 10-minute segments, and you don't really get to know the person or what their ideas are. And I think this is a pretty good way to find that out, you know. And eventually when I got to know Joe, obviously I also got to know all these great comedians. People, you know, that are close to his circle, which are Tom Segura, again, one of my favorite comics. It's so much fun. Bert, Ari Shaffir, Joey Diaz. Oh my god, if you don't know who Joey Diaz is, you can go fuck yourself. Alright, he is one of the funniest guys. and he has the best stories ever. If you know who he is, you know he had a crazy past life. Now he's a whole different person, but he has so many crazy ass stories from back in the day, and he makes it obviously super funny. And I remember I was watching a Joe Rogan podcast number 1000. It was Joey Diaz, Tom Segura, and I remember very well because I was driving back home. I was working on swing shift on my shop, and it was like about 11:30. I'm driving and I'm listening to the podcast, and I heard this Joey Diaz story, and I was laughing so fucking hard. There were tears coming out of my eyes. I could barely see the road. I was laughing. My stomach was hurting. I was kind of afraid because I couldn't see the road. I was laughing so hard. So let me show you guys the clip that I was watching. The story, more like. The story, rather. Let me show you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, black helicopters have been spotted. Your podcast with your wife is one of my favorite podcasts. It's so fucking consistently silly.
It is very silly.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I don't know why I'm giving shout outs to all these great podcasts. I think I sound dumb doing it, but I'm also a huge fan of Your Mom's House podcast. One of the funniest podcasts too, and they're so, like you say, they're so silly and so much fun. Just guys to go check it out.
People get silly when they get on it.
They do, yeah.
And then, I start like seeing things like, oh, this is like a Your Mom's House bit. I need to send it to Tom.
Yeah, you sent me a couple good ones.
I can't tell a story about taking a shit without 90 people hitting me up the next day telling me that was the most brilliant story in the world. We're going to send it to Tom Segura. Anytime I tell a shit story,
I'm the shit comic. It's awesome.
I fart myself or something disgusting. And 2 days later, sure enough, you're playing the fucking YouTube video.
That's true.
And howling with your wife.
It's
I'm
true.
howling. I'm like,
We
these
played
fucking-
Joey telling shit stories for sure. And he told us about when he shit in his backyard and somebody thought a bear had come.
I'll never forget.
Oh my God.
The lady, she would let her dogs out every day at 5, and then she would clean up. They were all French poodles.
Yeah.
So they're
I
like
could see
little
the dogs'
it was-
asses high up in the air. We're just reeling back from the shit. Like, what the
She
fuck?
It's a
went like
mountain of
this.
shit.
Joe Rogan, she looked at it, and she was like 58, so she squinted at the shit up against the wall. But here's what's beautiful. I took a shit and I put my back against the wall. So when you shit outside, it's not going to be a decent shit.
Yeah.
It's going to be like explosive. So when I got up, it looks like somebody got shot in the head. There was shit all behind me on the wall. So she's sitting there with her little French poodles and her little chihuahuas, and she's looking at the wall like, what the fuck happened there? And all of a sudden, she actually walks up close to it and squints and looks down on it and looks around and runs in the house. I'm watching all this. I can't breathe.
Oh no.
And now I go to the computer because my wife's very decent. And I'm sitting there for a half hour. And she goes, are you home all day today? I go, yeah, why? She goes, I just had a conversation with Susan. She wanted to know if you heard anything in the backyard because some animal took a shit back there. I went to get sushi. Like, you ever go get sushi and eat a lot of it? The rice pushes everything out of your ass.
Yes.
And you had plans to go get a weed store. You were going to go to the post office. But I made a detour. I planned to go home, but I left the house key in the house. So I had to climb around the window. That's what happened.
Yeah.
So when I pulled myself up, I actually landed with my stomach on the window.
And now you really got
Which
shit.
made it push it out more. Like and I'm fatter than fuck, and my hands are struggling in the window, and my little fat feet are on the other side, and the cats are meowing at me, scratching at me, right? And I'm like, it's me, you fuck. And so I ran down the stairs and shit outside.
Oh my
The
God.
best was that I took a shit in Fabian's backyard after a 5-hour drive from Colton or some weird town.
Didn't he not talk to you after that for a
Yeah,
while?
for a while. I took a shit and then he ran over it with his car, and the whole backyard smelled like sewage waste. I go over there the next day. He goes, it smells back here. Let's talk in the house. He goes, I don't know what happened. And you can see the brown shit. He smushed it with this tire, and a bunch of flies were around. He didn't talk to me for a month after that. Who takes a shit in somebody's backyard?
How did you find out it was you?
Because I told him the truth. What am I gonna lie to the guy?
Oh, that's hard to clean up too.
Oh my god.
Yeah, shit.
You can clean up dog shit. It doesn't even make you gag.
But human shit?
bum shit.
Yeah.
If you had to clean up some wino shit, if you had to use one of those scrapers,
Yeah. It smells
Oh my
so
God.
much stronger, man.
we're gross.
It's so much
No.
more gross.
When you take a shit, it's okay. It's till you cut it in half. You ever
Right.
cut a shit in half? When that fucking
I think it
when
was
that milk, when that Reese's peanut butter fume leaks out. Oh my god.
He's like, I've done studies.
No. When you go to jail, when you go to jail,
Never
it's
cut shit in
hysterical.
half.
When you go to prison,
You have to cut the shit.
you have to shit like, in a tube while people are watching TV. Like if you go to county jail, you shit right
man.
there. So black guys will be laying there watching TV with their feet up, and all of a sudden they smell a little shit, and they're like, "Put some water in that hole, motherfucker!" Like they'll just yell it from the other side of the fucking prison. Because that means you took a shit and you're sitting there, and the shit's permeating. So in prison, as soon as you shit, you got to put water on it.
Yeah.
But there's some bathrooms that only give you 20 ounces of water a day. So whatever time you flush, it's got to be a good flush. You follow me?
I
So
do
if you take
follow
a
you.
piss, sometimes the piss has to stay there until the next day until you take a good shit. But when you take a shit in jail, bro, that's what they'll tell you.
Put some water.
Put some hole in that motherfucking hole, dog. I can smell that shit right now. I'm trying to watch Oprah. But that's what smells. Once the
Yeah.
hole sucks it, it's like when you go to Vegas.
Yeah.
They have that sucking action.
Yep.
Well, if you take a shit this big, that's 34 inches, once that sucking thing, it breaks. It looks like two new chugs. Once that breaks, it's over.
It's over,
And they
yeah.
put the bathroom right by the door, the front entrance. So
Yeah.
you can't have nobody come over.
Right.
That's why I always go downstairs.
Take shit?
Yeah, I don't shit in my bathroom in the hotel no more because it kills the whole room for 2 hours.
We worked at the House of Blues in Vegas, and
Yeah.
Joey left an onshore shit. You know what an onshore shit is?
What?
It's like he was so fat at the time that he couldn't sit down in like the regular toilet. You were
What?
like, what were you like?
400, 415.
He was
Fuck.
giant. He was
Yeah.
giant. So when he would take a shit, he would have to balance himself mostly on the very edge of the front because his ass was so big.
Wow.
He didn't shit in the water. He
Wow.
shit on the deck.
No.
Oh,
So
dude.
it would be sticking out.
So you,
like one of those
sticking out.
whales.
You ain't never seen a shit like that before.
So you couldn't sit in the toilet.
I would sit on the toilet, but I don't like my. Look,
He was on the edge.
It wasn't that I was fat. I don't like my dick inside the toilet.
Right.
Somebody's gonna suck your dick and all of a sudden they're sucking the toilet. I tell my wife, I don't even let my wife pee in public because I want to eat her monkey. I don't want that monkey touching the other fucking thing. So when I shit in the public bathroom, I hold my balls.
Okay.
And I shit towards the edge. I don't give a fuck. It's somebody else's bathroom.
Right. So you're
Why
scooting
not just
forward.
hold your balls and sit where you are?
Because
Right.
no.
Why do you
I
gotta
don't-
move forward?
I don't- Because if I'm back there, I got crabs one time, and if they're sitting on the toilet, they'll jump
Sure,
from that toilet inward like they jumping over a
I
monk.
always thought that people saying they got crabs in the toilet is an excuse.
Well, sometimes you could get crabs from anywhere, but
But
why
I thought
take
you can
a
only get it
chance?
from hair. They only clean the hairs. I don't think they like will stay on an actual toilet.
I think you're
Like-
probably definitely right.
Yeah, I would feel like that's one of those things. Like, how'd you
But-
get crabs? I took a shit at
Yeah.
the gas station. That had to be it. That's what I always figured it was.
No, so I always hold my nuts and shit. When I shit, it was long, and Red Band put ketchup on it. Remember Red Band went in there and put ketchup on
I
it?
think,
Potato chips?
unfortunately, I think that was a different time.
Okay.
This has not happened
This is a
just
different
once.
shit, yeah.
It's been many, many
So
times.
this thing's just like sticking out of
So
the
you
water.
go in there. There's a smell. You know how when you take an epic shit, it's an above water shit. It comes
Yeah.
out like the fucking Big Island of Hawaii.
Yeah.
Just rises through the water.
Yeah.
Like I've done that many times, because I eat too much.
Yeah.
And I'll take these shits that are just like so big. They're preposterous. But there's a totally different smell to those shits. Because you're smelling raw shit outside of the water.
Right.
I mean, it's gone through the water.
Yeah.
And it's poking into
It's strong.
What is it about that makes you happy? What is it about
It's a
that
sense of
horrible
accomplishment,
smell? You're
first
like,
of all.
oh, there's a good one right here.
It doesn't come around that often either.
No, like
That's what I
above
think.
water shit?
Yeah, man, it's like a comet. Like
And
you're
it's-
just like this doesn't happen all the time.
It's always diarrhea too. It's never like a super like thick log.
It's weird when the second wave is diarrhea. Like when you take like
Oh,
a night, you're
right.
like,
All right, that's enough, I guess. Oh my god, that's so funny. So yeah, man, Joey Diaz, he's a funny motherfucker, you know. So I was trying to keep this podcast somewhat short. I just wanted to introduce myself and let you guys know what the fuck is this. And also show you my influences on the podcasting world and the comedy world. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep it short, maybe under half an hour. I don't wanna, because I have no team. Obviously, I have to do everything myself. So I'm trying to learn how to edit this shit and just publish it. Which, by the way, I look into it. I thought it was more simpler than that, but it really isn't. Holy shit, man! You have to. It's not like super complicated, but I thought it was just simpler. That's all, I guess. Excuse me. So yeah, guys, that's the podcast for this week, and hopefully I will gather enough courage to go tonight, because it's, by the time of this recording, it's actually tonight when I have to try it out for the first time. Open mic night, 5 minutes. I'm gonna bomb. It's gonna be horrible, but I'll let you guys know how that shit went, and hopefully also I'm gonna gather other topics and we can talk about them. I guess I will talk about them. You're gonna listen, because that's how a podcast works. It's one way. By the way, I was trying to get my wife into it, but she's not interested. That is so sad. But hopefully in the future she will join me, so we can bounce ideas out. Oh, by the way, I bought tickets for December to go watch Jim Gaffigan and Bill Burr. Which I find funny that my wife actually likes Bill Burr, because if you know anything about his comedy, he shits on women. Not like literally, but you know what I mean. He's just blasting on women all the time, but she finds it funny for some reason. I don't know why. Well, obviously he's one of the funniest guys of all time, and that's fine. So we're gonna go watch Jim Gaffigan and Bill Burr in December here in Vegas. It's gonna be fucking epic. This is actually the first time I ever bought tickets for anything. For anything. I used to be really into soccer when I was a teenager. I was on that shit all the time. I got some stories about that too. Maybe I can tell you that, guys. The stories later. So this is actually the first time I bought tickets for anything. I guess I'm a really boring guy, I guess. Which is not good if you're trying to make a podcast. Comedy. Alright. So again, thank you guys for watching. If you guys like it, please subscribe and share it with your friends if you like. And it's gonna get better, I promise you. Okay? And I'll give you guys an update, talk about other things, and I will see you guys on the next episode. Again, thanks a lot for watching. Have a good one. Bye.